Sunday morning, Justin Kinner, Keith Byars with you here. We are live from the Frickers on 741. Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Good Sunday morning again. Happy New Year. First show of the new year. First local show of the new year, that is, here on 1410 Wing AM. We have a ton to dive into. The Cleveland Browns, the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's a playoff game. At least it is for the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have not made the playoffs in 18 seasons, and they are looking to eliminate that drought coming up here later on this afternoon, 1 o'clock. The kickoff, and again, the Steelers are resting a lot of their key players. The Browns get a lot of key players back after missing a good chunk of those guys due to COVID-19 just a week ago. They get a lot of those guys back, still without some key pieces, but we'll touch more on that coming up here in just a little bit. We are live on Facebook, we're live on Twitter, we're live on YouTube, and you're probably just seeing my face, but I promise you there is two of us here, Justin Kinner and Keith Byars with you here on this Sunday morning live from Frickers. And of course, we'll get into the NFL. It is the Week 17, the regular season finale. We'll get into the Browns and Steelers. The Bengals wrap up their long nightmarish season again. We'll get into that all coming up, but we're going to open up with the Ohio State Buckeyes punching their ticket back to the national championship. I was talking with Keith before the show. My take on this is this. I'm not surprised that Ohio State won. No one should be surprised that Ohio State won, but I think maybe Keith might defer on this, but I think everyone could say we are surprised that they just came out and just punched Clemson in the mouth. Clemson is not a fan favorite amongst anybody outside of their little circle, and Ohio State shut a lot of Clemson fans and that program up this past Friday.
And you're right. They do have a little circle. Happy New Year to you and all the listeners out there. Wow. First off, that's so much to say. I talked to quite a few of former Buckeyes yesterday, from generations from the 70s all the way to the 2000s. We all had the same refrain. Wake up yesterday and say, man, it feels good to be a Buckeye. It feels good to be a Buckeye tonight after, the morning after spanking, the Clemson Tigers. And, one thing that we all agree upon, and you touched on it a few moments ago, was Ohio State, we're not surprised they won. And when there's certain universities, very small, they don't upset anybody. Don't call it an upset when Ohio State beats Clemson.
Yeah.
Don't call it an upset when Alabama beats anybody. Some schools do not upset. They're supposed to win. So it's never an upset when they win. You expect Ohio State to win. You expect Alabama to win. And our team up north, they're expected to win too. They're not supposed to upset anybody. So, we're talking about the Mount Rushmore type programs of college football. And let's get one thing. I'm going to make sure I say this on record. Clemson, you're new money.
Yes.
You're not a blue blood. You're not. You don't have a history that Ohio State has, as Alabama has, as USC has. You're getting there, but you're new. You won a national championship. It was 1982, my senior year in high school. We didn't hear anything from you again until when? The 2000s. So yes, if we're talking about what have we seen lately, when I mean lately, within the last 10 years, yes, Clemson, you're relevant. You're, a major power on the national stage. But make no mistake, you are not. You're new money. You're like the Alexis. When you talk about elite, cars, you're not Cadillac, you're not Mercedes-Benz, you're not BMW, you're not Chevrolet, you're not Ford. That's old money. Lexus is new money. A Kia, that's new money. There's nothing wrong with those vehicles. And I wish they were some of those sponsors of our show to stop saying those names. That's what you are. And so don't disrespect us. And you've disrespected us far too long. Yes, you have won, the previous, 4 or 5 matchups between Ohio State, never in the regular season. We've never played you in a regular season. And I'm not saying, because down Ohio State has that monkey off your back. You finally beat Clemson. We played them that many times. But nevertheless, you can never say we never beat you. But make no mistake, don't disrespect us. And I know I've seen all the memes with Dabo Sweeney when he called Ohio State, 11th ranked team. What he said, he meant to say they're playing on the 11th.
So that's 11th. No, I meant they're playing on the 11th. They're playing on the 11th. Yeah,
we will be playing on the 11th. They will be watching. And I've been to Clemson. And I was like, I've been on the campus.
You took a visit there, correct?
No, never do that.
What the hell were you doing at Clemson?
I know.
You stepping out?
I know.
Stepping out on Ohio State.
Believe it or not. My wife and I, let me preface that. My wife and I and a few
That
other
wasn't a reference to
we was on vacation at a house in South Carolina. South Carolina. And we was about 25 minutes from the campus. And I was like, let me go
check it out.
Let me just go by the campus. So I went by the campus, walked around, talked to a couple of coaches, while I was on campus. I'm like, so this is Clemson. Oh, this is the rock, this is the wheel, the hit. Okay. There's nothing here.
See, and you've gone on campus visits to where you're probably walking around like, okay, if I was walking on this campus for the first time outside, I mean, look, the team's success is what gets you to be interested in the campus visit to begin with. But you're looking at it from a perspective of, okay, if I'm a top athlete coming out of high school, what am I looking for here?
I'm a recruit.
So what am I looking for here?
It's a college town. It's like going to OU, Ohio University. But nothing wrong with Athens, Ohio. But there's nothing there. It's a OU. There's a downtown area, and it's neighborhood. It's okay. Anybody from Athens, I'm not trying to disrespect you. That's Clemson. You have to be going there. It's not like I was in the neighborhood and stopped by Ohio State because I'm in Columbus. You have to make a special trip to get to Columbus. It's hard to get there too. Flying in, and it's next to nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm not disrespecting the university. A whole lot of colleges are that way. But no, they're nowhere near Ohio State and what we have to offer, especially just overall. Here at the main, I'm talking about Clemson academics, Clemson basketball, Clemson. No.
Yeah.
But it was a great, great, great win on a Friday night. It was worth staying up for. My phone was ringing at 1 o'clock in the morning.
I bet. That was a long fourth quarter, by the way. The quarter started. I mean, it was like an hour-long fourth quarter. I mean, it was never ending, and it was like, come on, let's just get to let's let the clock hit zero. Let's see them celebrate this win, and then we could put all our eyes and attention and focus on the team that we used to hate more than anybody outside of Michigan was Alabama, and then Dabo Swinney and Clemson swooped in and kind of took that title for a bit. But now we kind of get to go back to another foe that we can't stand, and that's Alabama. And I've said this before in the build-up to the college football playoff that if you're Ryan Day and you're the Ohio State Buckeyes, and the history of the program is magnificent, as you know, then every championship win. If Ryan Day goes on to win a national championship, not Ryan Day, but the Buckeyes as a whole win a national championship this year, I could think of no tougher road to a national championship than this one. Not only did they have to, they had to battle, not only did they have to do this and fight for it during a global pandemic, but they had to fight their own conference. Their biggest opponent of the year has not been Clemson. It wasn't Indiana or Northwestern. Their biggest opponent of the year was their own conference, the Big Ten. They had to defeat their own conference just to have a chance to get to this point. They don't beat Clemson unless they beat their biggest foe of the year, which was not Michigan, not Penn State, not Indiana. It was Kevin Warren in the Big Ten. So they get over the Big Ten. They get over that hump. They get a season. Sure, it's a shortened season. They have to battle some COVID issues during that. Some on their team, some others. They beat Indiana. They beat Northwestern. They beat Penn State. They beat everybody that they were supposed to. They're undefeated. They beat Northwestern in the Big Ten title game, shorthanded. They beat Clemson this past Friday night. If they go on to beat Nick Saban and Alabama, Keith, this will be the most impressive path to a national championship, even more than 2014 when they had a third-string quarterback lead them to a national title. Again, where do you come on that? If they're hoisting up the national championship trophy a week from tomorrow, that has to be the most impressive path to a title that I could think of in Buckeye history.
I hadn't thought about it till you just now said it, but you're 100% spot on. Absolutely. What they overcome, and you was hearing me say, I hate preseason polls.
Yep.
And I do that, but that's why it makes even more what Dabo said so disrespectful. He understands, preseason polls. He understands preseason, what you're scouting, what you signed in your college, your recruiting classes. So everybody knew how good Ohio State was in August.
Yep.
On paper, and what they had the potential to be. Now you got to go out there and perform it. But we knew how good Alabama was going to be on paper. Alabama's missing their best receiver. And this other guy, Devontae, might win the Heisman Trophy. But Waddle, who he might play next week, I don't know. But everybody knew Alabama was good. Everybody knew Clemson was good. They got Trevor Lawrence coming back. They have a good football team. So Dabo knew what Ohio State had. He knew he dodged a bullet in last year in December when they played. He knew that. So they say Ohio State is 11. So now Ohio State's season is canceled. It gets started again. And then they play 2 games in a month. And they've overcome an awful lot to get to this moment. And all the more reason why you know how good your opponent is. And, and so if Ohio State goes on and win it all, and I believe they will, it will be the most, toughest road, to the national championship that it has happened, and not just Ohio State, anybody.
Yep.
Any team, because this 2020 season was one like none other than we've ever saw. So it would be a very, very impressive. The things State had to overcome. It would be.
And think about that. I mean, you're Ryan Day. You just took over for Urban Meyer a season ago. This is your second full season. You've won 2 Big Ten titles. You've gone to the college football playoff twice now. You beat Clemson. And now you have a chance to beat Nick Saban in Alabama. That's why I'm saying he has an opportunity here. I keep saying he, but the Buckeyes as a whole. The Buckeyes as a whole have a chance to knock out Clemson and Alabama, who this is the 7th college football playoff that we've had in college football playoff history. Clemson's won it twice. Bama's won it twice. Ohio State's won it once. LSU's won it once. Ohio State has a chance to win it for a second time and cement themselves with those 2 teams. And again, we know they're right up there with them from a recruiting standpoint, program prestige standpoint, talent standpoint. But this is a huge, huge game, and I can't believe they have a chance to do it against Alabama. To knock out Clemson and Alabama in the same playoff, no bigger impressive, feat than I could think of.
And again, like I said earlier, we don't upset anybody. So when they win on the 11th,
yep.
Because I'm predicting to win. I expect I expect to win. At Ohio State, because when you walk through that door and walk on campus, when you wear the scarlet and gray, you're never the underdog. I don't care what the naysayers said. A few times at Ohio State when I was there, we were underdogs, and we won all those games that we were underdogs, and it wasn't even that much. It wasn't very many. One that stands in mind when we played Iowa. In the horseshoe, they were the number 1 team in the country my senior year, and they were favored to win. We're like, how disrespectful. And we smashed them that day also. And, I didn't play, but, I gave an inspirational speech to the team. So I was the 12th man in the huddle. Also my leadership was there. They had the guys fired up and ready to go. But I'm telling you, what Ohio State has the chance, and that's all you ask for is a chance, to go out there and prove that they belong. And they've done that from the first game of the season against Nebraska till the latest game against Clemson. They've come together. They've overcome so much. When you win, a whole lot gets overlooked. They go into the game without the starting left guard. Harry Miller. Harrison is missing. They have. And they've done that all season long. And, I'm keeping my fingers crossed, but I'm praying that they go into the Alabama game with your whole team.
Yeah, that's the other factor to consider as well.
Yeah, I hope everybody stays healthy and they're able to play. And which goes back to what I've been saying since September. The national champion this year will be the healthiest team, and then hopefully it's the best team also. But the national champion will be the healthiest team, not just, somebody has a torn ACL or broken ankle or whatever injury, but this COVID-19 is real. And, so whoever is the healthiest from COVID perspective, and then whoever the best team is. So I wish that on both sides of both teams, and Ohio State and Alabama, to be healthy, so that we have the best team in college football wins it. And I was thinking earlier, just real quickly, quick transition. Last week when we were talking, did the top 4 teams make the college football playoffs? I still think they did.
Yeah, I do.
Even though Notre Dame got blew out, and Clemson got blew out. That's not called. It was a blowout. When they beat us, a couple years ago, 31-0, that was a blowout. Yep. We beat them by 20 points. That's a blowout. What other 2 teams would you put in there? Even after watching the bowl games, I wouldn't put Texas A&M in there.
Georgia, no.
Georgia, no.
Texas A&M, no. You're right. Florida, no.
No. I mean, Cincinnati. No, I mean, if so, really, team picks 4 through 6 or 7. They could have been in there, but with all that saying, Oklahoma, you lost twice. You can't get in there. And Cincinnati, I hate what happened to them. They should have made the playoffs, and if they would better clock management, their argument of strength would be even stronger that they should have been in there.
Yep.
But nevertheless, the 4 teams that they chose, even 2 weeks later, I don't always agree with it, and I don't necessarily say I'm 100% in, but I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, the resumes that they had at the time. And again, this is probably the third or fourth off season we've gone into after the championship game. Are they going as college football selection committee? Are they prepared to make some amendments, to the system? As far as making expansion, happen. I've never been a big expansion guy because I said there's too many games when you have expansion. Because right now the champion plays 15 games under normal years. Because you have your 12 regular season games, the conference championship, which is 13, and then 2 playoff games. That's 15 games. That's too much football because National Football League, the pros play 16 regular season games, and they get paid.
Yep.
You're making these college players play 15 games, and they're not getting paid. Now you add in expansion, you're going to have a 17, 18 game season for college football to determine the champion. It's too much football.
Yeah, it is too much football. And again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. People think it's broke, but big picture, it's not, because to your point, there are way too many outside factors that are, not that would have to be considered for that to happen. And ultimately,
cutting the regular season down, are they going to do that and lose out some of that money?
And a lot of these programs won't be okay with that either because, hey, season ticket holders, we're still forgetting, gate money, which is something that's impacting a lot of these programs. Maybe not so much this year, but the lack of, no fans at games. We're learning in the pros right now, like we kept thinking, COVID's going to impact these teams right away this year. No, we're watching Major League Baseball. It is completely, the free agent market is being devastated right now because of the fact that there were no fans in the stands and teams are cutting payroll left and right. You have a Cubs team who's basically just giving away star players, not even at face value. I mean, and
they found out about it on Twitter.
Yep. Yes. And that's the thing too. So we haven't even seen how this is going to impact college teams just quite yet. And we will find out here in the near future. But again, your final score this past Friday night, New Year's Day, Ohio State 49-28 over Clemson in the All-State Sugar Bowl college football playoff semifinals. Ohio State Buckeyes clinched their spot back in the national title game where they will take on Alabama.
I like how you said that. They clinched their spot, not somebody else's spot. Their spot
in the national championship game a week from tomorrow night against Alabama. And I tell you, these were the matchups we wanted, by the way. Like, this season has been stressful. It's been frustrating as a fan, but it's all worth it. Sitting there watching Ohio State Clemson, there's just something about that match. I love that the coaches hate one another. I love that the fans hate Clemson. I love that stuff. To me, that just adds fuel to it. I know we like the respectable stuff. Now, for me, I'm petty like that. I love the fact that the fans have just been relentless on Twitter and social media. They've been brutal. I love that. It adds fuel to it. And I love
it's okay to hate your opponent, but still be respectful.
Yeah.
You don't have to be disrespectful.
But how about this? After the game, did you hear the Buckeye fans? Dabo, Dabo. They were chanting Dabo.
That wasn't disrespectful.
No. I love that. I love that. It is all fun. It's all fun, And Dabo, after asked about, do you regret saying that? He said no. He doubled down. He said, look, I just don't believe any team that didn't play X amount of games should have been there. I'm trying to cut out the to be fair. He did say from the very beginning, Ohio State, they're definitely good enough to win.
No, he didn't. That's not the beginning, though. The beginning is in August. Say that in August.
But yeah, either way. But he didn't say that back in August either. He didn't
exactly.
Say. But he didn't say anything.
No. I'm saying say in August that your top 10 will always be teams that play X amount of games. Now it was never 9. Say that in August. But don't wait till December.
If it's reversed, Big Ten would be saying the same thing. If it's reverse, Big Ten, we'd be saying the same. Clemson, they only played 6 games.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, come on. Buckeye fans are petty as can be. They'd be saying that. Maybe you won't. Yeah, I give you credit. I give you a lot of credit. But Buckeye fans, they would.
No. Maybe. But again, we were in uncharted waters back in August. And that's what the blame goes back to the selection committee. Say you need minimums. The Big Ten, we said you got to play 6 games, and they amended.
But then we said it was bad leadership that they had minimum. I thought it was smart to have minimum. It ultimately almost cost them because the worst case scenario did present itself that the number 1 team in the conference is the only team that was facing that, unfortunately. But I agree with you. Yeah.
Just for the sake of argument, let's say the college selection committee says you had to play 8 games, minimum. Ohio State doesn't make the playoffs because that's what we knew back in August. Does Cincinnati get in then? Would Cincinnati make it then, or would they just take Texas A&M and Notre Dame? Texas A&M and Notre Dame. Yeah. Cincinnati would still get the screws.
No, yeah, yeah.
Even if they said that back in August, you got to play at least 8 games. Cincinnati's 9-0, and they would still disrespect Cincinnati and put in A&M and Notre Dame. That's how bad the system is.
Interesting. I mean, look, but the bottom line is we got Ohio State, we got Alabama.
Yeah, we don't have to play that right now. We don't have to play that game.
So that's all that matters. But all right, again, we'll get more into this national championship game preview on the other side. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars. We are live here at Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. I hope everyone had a great New Year's and has had a great last few days again as we kick off the new year. I mean, everyone returns to work to their normal day job starting tomorrow. I know I do. I'm actually looking forward to it. I'm not going to lie. I like when things are back to normal. I just like a consistency, and we get to return to that a little bit tomorrow. All right, folks, we'll be back in a moment. Hour 2 coming up. We'll dive back more into reaction from this Clemson-Ohio State game. Shay, we're going to open up the phone lines. Give Shay a call. Shay Neal is back in the studio. 457-9464. Your reaction to the Buckeyes and Clemson in the college football playoff semifinal and the Sugar Bowl. I want to know if fans agree. If the Buckeyes go on, when the Buckeyes go on to win a national championship a week from tomorrow night, will this be the most impressive path to a national championship in the program's history? You can go back to 2002. You went up against an extremely talented Miami team that had NFL talent all over the place. And, well, guess what? Ohio State did too. How about 2014? A third-string quarterback in Cardale Jones comes in and leads the Buckeyes to a national championship. Everything just clicked. Zeke Elliott just explodes. I mean, everything that could go right for the Buckeyes went right. Which path to a championship has been the most difficult? If Ohio State wins a week from tomorrow, will that be? We'll talk about that more next. Plus, we'll get into the Browns-Steelers preview. All of that next right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
Create your ideal workshop with help from Menards. We have everything you need from tools to lights. Save energy with a new shop light from Smart Electrician. Menards has a great selection to choose from. The 54-inch, 10,000 lumen LED super bright tread plate shop light starts instantly. Right now, it's just $54.99. Save big money now during Menards Project Day sale. Prices are good until January 16th.
Save big money at Menards.
First Florist and Greenhouses thanks all of our customers for choosing us this past year. Like you, we're looking forward to brighter days ahead. We'll be here when you need fresh cut flowers, seasonal plants, gourmet baskets, or gifts for that special someone. First Florist and Greenhouses, Dayton's largest family-owned florist and greenhouses. In business at the same location since 1905. In-store shopping at 1306 Troy Street in Dayton. Curbside pickup and convenient online shopping. Visit us at firsttheflorist.com. That's FURST theflorist.com.
Our biggest storage event just got stronger. The Store More, Save More event going on now at the Home Depot. Get exclusive HDX black and yellow tough coats starting at just $4.98. They're heavy duty, durable, and come in a range of sizes from 7 to 70 gallons. So whether you need to store a little or store a lot, you're going to save loads. Make room for big savings at the Store More, Save More event going on now at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Limited time only. Event and dates vary by store. See store for details.
Sales are rising quickly, but without another lead baker, Dale's Bakery is going to feel the heat.
Hey, you're baking alone today. I have to handle this order for the restaurant down the street. Cool, but who's going to handle the pastries?
He needs to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you practice how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says, "I'm a catch," more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
My name is Cade Courtney, and this is my new show, Can You Survive This Podcast? I'll be drawing on my years as a former Navy SEAL platoon commander, sniper, and CIA contractor. The show is designed to teach you techniques that will increase your chances of survival if you happen to find yourself or your family in any life-threatening disaster scenario imaginable. Subscribe and listen for free on Apple Podcasts. Can you survive this podcast?
An ordinary sunny day, an ordinary family's living room filled with an ordinary bunch of kids, and they were doing nothing. They were couch slouching, they were rug imitating, and lazy minute after lazy minute was passing them by, when suddenly...
Huh? Hey guys, that's a personal foul. Inactive activity on a sunny day.
Coming to the rescue was NFL running back Reggie Bush.
Players don't get lazy penalties. Let's play.
Those kids, they listened to Reggie. They got up and play they did. There was fun and running. There were smiles and jumping. And laziness was crushed.
Hey kids, don't get a lazy penalty.
Kids, listen to Reggie and avoid lazy penalties. Be a player. Get up and play for an hour a day. Go online to check out smallstep.gov for fun playtime ideas.
So you can be a player too.
Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Be a player.
Sales are rising quickly, but without another lead baker, Dale's Bakery is going to feel the heat.
Hey, you're baking alone today. I have to handle this order for the restaurant down the street. Cool, but who's going to handle the pastries?
He needs to hire.
Paid Indeed.
Indeed you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Beth just said goodbye to her polka dot heels.
Goodbye.
She sold them on Mercari to Shelley, who gladly said
Hello.
just after she said goodbye to a set of bright orange cookware.
Really, Mom? Citrus?
They sold quickly on Mercari to Dan.
Oh, these are groovy.
Then Dan sold his rollerblades on Mercari.
Bye-bye. I bike now.
Which took us back to where we started with Beth, who said,
Hello, rollerblades. Whee!
buy and sell almost anything from home with Mercari, your marketplace. Find it on the app stores or Mercari.com.
All sports. All the time. Right here on 1410 ESPN Radio.
1, 2, 3.
WING 1410 Dayton. Dayton's ESPN Radio. Hi, everybody. We welcome you back. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars with you here on this Sunday morning. Happy New Year. And we are excited to be out here at Frickers again. This is my favorite time of year for one, just because, it's bittersweet. I love the playoffs, Keith. I love the college football playoffs. I love the NFL playoffs. But it's a double-edged sword because that means it's the beginning of the end. We wait so long in the summer and the off season for college football and the NFL season to get here for the build up to these moments. But then in the, blink of an eye, it's all gone. So, as crazy as of a season as this has been, think about this, a week from tomorrow, the college football season is officially over. We are February 7th or 11th. I'm sorry, February 11th, I believe, is the Super Bowl. We're just, we're just a little over a month away from the NFL season being over. So, it's bittersweet, but this is exciting. This was the build. This is why when the Big Ten came out and announced that there would be no Big Ten season, this is why there were so many angry fans, is because of this right here. Because
would you be over it right now if there was no season, no Buckeye football all season long?
Would I be into it?
Yeah.
That's a good question. We asked that at the beginning. How were we, at the time when we had mentally accepted that there would be no Big Ten college football season, I was like, how is this year going to be? If I'm watching, if, let's say it's Clemson, Alabama, the national title game. We've seen that many, many times before. So it's going to feel like, okay, yeah, 2 of the top teams are in the title game, but would we feel like it's legit? I don't think I would have. I don't think I would have. It would just be tough. I don't know. I always say I love college football, but I feel like the centerpiece is always Ohio State and everything else is sprinkles on top. They're the ice cream sundae, right? Everything else is sprinkles, but you don't just eat sprinkles without the ice cream center, right? Like, that's just weird. I don't think that I would have enjoyed the college football season at all. Not even a little bit had Ohio State not been.
I concur. I mean, the month of September, my Saturdays was golf and, not even hurry to get home to watch football.
If it was on, I'd have it on in the background.
Yeah, I watched it. It was no big deal, So if I had to do that in September, October, November, and December, and here we are in January, I would be like, well, it's Monday night. I guess I'll watch it. I would still be upset that the Buckeyes wasn't in it all season long, and I'd have had 4 months of woulda, shoulda, coulda. I can't believe that this was our shot, and we never got a chance to prove whether or not we could win it or not, and then remember that for history. Thank God those memories are left those in 2020. And
no kidding.
We have something now that starts my 2021, the right way, and Buckeyes, against Alabama in a national championship game. That would be sweet. I mean, it is going to be sweet. And I have a ton of family in Alabama, and so the last time in 2014 when Ohio State spanked them, for 6 years. I've been giving them the business.
Oh, yeah.
I've been giving them the business. And so I want that to extend because I got a family reunion coming up in July, and we're going to go at it. But it's all good. We're going to end in love. So it's a healthy, one-upsmanship that, amongst the family. Because I give it to them hard and heavy.
I would too.
So 6 years, they've been getting it. So they can't wait to try to get me back, but it won't happen.
I love the debate about which fan base is the most obnoxious. If you have a good team, your fan base is usually considered obnoxious. Like, for instance, we don't make our fan bases obnoxious. And Alabama fans don't think their fans are obnoxious, and Clemson doesn't think their fans are obnoxious. But if we're talking about fan bases being obnoxious, it's for a good reason. It's usually because you have a good team, and everyone's trying to scream as loud as they can to convince people that their team is legit. So, it's fun. I love we have a lot of Bama fans on the Facebook page. Yeah. It's fun. I love the back and forth. It's never personal. It's always just taking shots at one another's team, and it's fun. I absolutely love it.
My cousin said, back when I started in November when I came out with my top 10 list and I had Alabama ahead of Ohio State, he said, Cave, I fell out of my chair. I could not believe you said that. Because he's such an Alabama guy. He just, I said, man, I'm not you're an Alabama guy, and that's all you can see. I said, at the point of the season when I have Alabama ranked ahead of Ohio State, they were better, and they're the number one team, and I still have them ranked ahead of Ohio State. They're the number one seed, which they should be, and Ohio State is the number 3 seed, and they shouldn't be. Ohio State should be 2, and Alabama should be 1. Doesn't matter. They're going to play each other, and we're going to find out on the field, not on paper, who's the number one team in the country.
Yep.
And so after Ohio State handles their business on the 11th, my phone, I'm going to be agreeing to my cousin down in Alabama. So I said, y'all was number 1 until you played the real number 1. And so I already got my jokes ready. But it's okay. It doesn't have to end in hate. Like I said, you could be, respectfully and disagree, and you can hate each other's team. They hate the Buckeyes, and I'm okay with it. I understand it. And, I hate Alabama, and they understand it, and they're okay with it. And we're still going to be fans. We're still going to laugh and joke and have a good time when we see each other, hug it out. But it's fun. This is a healthy respect. You got 2 programs that are on the Mount Rushmore, if you will, of college football going at it. I mean, there are 2 titans, Ohio State, Alabama. And somebody's thinking, well, who's the other teams on the Mount Rushmore? Well, let me hear from you, callers. Call in, tell me who else you think belongs, up there with Ohio State and Alabama. And I'll even expand it. Trump is trying to get his face on there. Well, that's crazy. But I won't even say for you. I would give you 5 teams, maybe 6 if you want. So we make it 6 teams, 6 college programs that needs to be on the Mount Rushmore of college football programs. That's going to be I'm going to make that my question today, too.
For your show okay.
For my show tomorrow.
I'll start thinking about that again.
Yeah, 6 college programs that you would put on the Mount Rushmore of college football. I already gave you 2. Whether you agree with my 2 or not. I mean,
I don't know how you could argue against those 2. I tell you that much.
So you got 4 other teams that belongs on the Mount Rushmore college football programs.
Ohio State 49-28 over Clemson in the All-State Sugar Bowl in the college football playoff semifinal matchup, which again sets up the Buckeyes showdown with Alabama in the national title game a week from tomorrow. It's been a crazy 2020 season, and the 2020 national champion will be crowned a week from tomorrow. And of course, you could catch all of that right here on Dayton's home of the Buckeyes. We got a big week lined up for you here throughout the week. We got Paul Keels, who's going to join us on the show tomorrow as well. We're going to hear from Bobby Carpenter later in the week. And then, from the NFL standpoint, we have Brian Billick, former coach of the Ravens. He's going to call into the show. Jason Fitz from ESPN Radio. So we got a big week lined up for everybody throughout the week. The Keith Byars Show tomorrow from noon to 1. He's going to talk, of course, about the Mount Rushmore of college football programs. Who would you put there? I'm excited for this week. This is a heck of a way to kick off the new year.
Oh, yeah.
I promise you that much. But let's get to the phones. 457-9464. I don't know if you've ever had classes on Sunday, but Mr. Know-It-All is here to put class in session. Mr. Know-It-All.
2021, he's back.
It's been a while. How are you, sir?
Oh boy, first of all, yeah, class is in session, and class has kind of been suspended for a little while because of COVID, and I hear that laugh, and that laugh is here. It is so, and he knows, I'm just getting out of church, and I don't know why God has forsaken me.
Temptation, man.
I have to sit here and listen and watch the Ohio State Buckeyes play for a national title. And yes,
your team did also.
I do. Would you please stop interrupting me, sir?
I'm happy to hear from you.
I do. Right. I'm happy to see you, both you two. I'm so happy New Year to you, first of all. But
same to you.
I'm so hurt. But I do agree with Coach Dabo that I would not have had Ohio State in there. I would have had them. I had them as like maybe 6 or 7 because they didn't play enough games. But however, it is what it is, and somehow I'm being punished. I don't know what I did, but I'm being punished that I have to watch Ohio State play, and I hope Alabama smashes them, which they will, because they're a better team. But it's unfair for Ohio State to be here because they're so fresh. They played in that weak conference, the Big Ten. So the few games, that's what they played, 4 games. The few games that they played, were not even subpar competition. And it's just, this COVID has just really ruined my sports season. So I did, just to catch you guys up, I did get engaged during COVID. I got engaged.
Nice. Just like the Buckeyes, your fiance got a ring. Nice.
Yes. I hope she's a Buckeye.
Well, no, I got engaged to my golf club. So,
Ford.
Yeah, so I'm going to solely commit to my golf club from here on out.
Shankoponymous.
But yeah, so I have my Mount Rushmore, Mr. Byars, but I'll wait till tomorrow where I can call in and give you those. 3 of them are in the college playoffs already. You know that. So I don't have Clemson in there, but like I said,
that's fair.
I just don't think Ohio State deserves to be in there. Clemson played a rough schedule, so Ohio State is so much more fresh, but they're going to run into a buzzsaw when they play Alabama because Alabama has more depth than anybody. So, so they can, they'll be able to handle Ohio State. Had my center not gotten hurt before the Clemson game, we would be playing for the national title. My Notre Dame Fighting Irish would be playing for the national title. My center got hurt before the second time we played Clemson, and we would have beat Clemson. He got hurt.
Center. I've never heard we're a center away from winning the national championship. Have you ever heard that one? This ain't basketball, my friend.
Maybe when Ohio State was playing Michigan State, when our center couldn't snap the ball to Justin, that was having an impact. But other than that, no.
The center is the quarterback of the offensive line. Mr. Hall of Famer, college football Hall of Famer, and 11, and I don't know, Mr. NFL player, Mr. All-Stater, Mr. Ohio football.
Listen to all that respect, Mister.
Yeah. He knows this. I was the ball boy bro when he was
That's my guy.
When he became Mr. Ohio and he got the award was bigger than I was, Justin. I was standing right there.
He was always hydrated, man. Hey, I was.
but But I mean, for him to have all those accolades, he doesn't know that the center is the quarterback of the offensive line. The center makes all the blitz calls, the offensive line adjustments, and all that kind of stuff. He doesn't know that. I mean, this is why.
Okay.
I mean, I had to come back on because, you know, to get our ratings back up on the show, you know, I know that our ratings are going to just, you know, ESPN is going to really be glad that I'm back on, you know, but I mean, you know, I had to do something, but COVID has really given us a reason to step back and really, truly become fans of sports. Because without sports, I mean, I don't know anybody that doesn't like sports. And if you don't, you need your head checked. I mean, so it really does. So it's good to be back, guys. I love you guys, and you know, I'll go ahead and listen and try to let you guys make sense of whatever I just said. So,
all right, hey, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
All right, good stuff there.
That's what he called. It's a good call.
He's passionate. I was right, but he's passionate. But yes, I have never heard someone say that. Oh, if we had our center, we would be playing in the national championship game. So Notre Dame. So Notre Dame was a center away from beating Alabama. Man. I mean, so what it sounds like is the Buckeyes dodged a bullet. Luckily, we have Alabama because had Notre Dame had that center, we'd be in for a long build-up to this of a game we had no chance of winning. Correct?
That's where he's going.
Mr. Know-It-All, we always love hearing from you, man. Take care. Happy New Year. We appreciate it. 457-9464. Let's see who else. Hold on. Shay texted me. We got Keith. Keith in Dayton. Welcome in, sir.
Thank you. Good morning. Real honored and privileged to speak to you guys. I really like your show, Mr. Keith Byars. Justin, are you there?
Yes, we're here.
Okay. Well, to me, you know, everyone was shocked and surprised, you know, about this football game, but it was really a reveal. It revealed a lot of things, and I listened to the sports stations between ESPN and Fox Sports, and I just listened to them about them praising Ohio State and about, you know, Coach Dabo. I guess he regrets for the next few years what he said because I don't think Alabama is going to have that same mentality. I think they're going to have respect and fear Ohio State. And I looked at the scores between what Alabama did with Notre Dame and what we did with Clemson. Looks by far, we have a college football program that are true winners, you know. And I'm looking forward to see what Sermon does. He did almost 200 yards rushing against Clemson. I hope he even does more when he plays Alabama. And about if we win, you know, this dynasty here in Ohio, you know, about so much, you know, they rebuilt so much in this football game. But, you know, it's just really shocking, surprising. But if we win Alabama and they have a Heisman candidate, you know, from other football teams on Tuesday, you know, if we win Alabama, I'm just going to be quiet and listen to you, but I am so happy. And it's a privilege to talk to you, Mr. Keith Byars and Justin.
Thank you, Keith.
Keith, thank you, and Happy New Year, man. We appreciate the call on that. And Keith, you know, he brought up a guy that I feel bad that we've waited. Let's see, it's 12:19. We're almost an hour into the show. We've yet to bring up Trey Sermon. You and I spoke a little bit. We were talking during the break earlier. I said, you know, the one thing Clemson didn't do that I was surprised was, I mean, if you watched, he made a smart-ass comment one day saying, hey, you know, watching film won't take long. There's only 6 games. He made that comment. Well, had he actually watched film, he would have seen some of the teams that had success in putting pressure on Justin Fields or at least rattling the offense of Ohio State at times was putting pressure on Justin Fields. But the reason that Clemson could not commit to the blitz and commit to putting the pressure on Justin Fields was because of the the late emergence of the run game to how it has been called. Trey Sermon running onto the scene, no pun intended, was the number one reason that Clemson could not try to put the pressure on Justin Fields the way teams in the past have. And it all comes down to the way that the offense has been called. You know, you brought up a good point during the break. You're comparing this run right now, and it starts in the Big Ten title game, which was ironically enough when the title run started in 2014 in the Big Ten championship game. there was one factor that was the switch that switched for Ohio State, and that was the run game. Zeke Elliott, Trey Sermon to Zeke Elliott to this team right now.
Zeke Elliott averaged 200 yards a game the last 3 games of the season.
Yep.
He averaged 200 in the Big Ten championship game, the semifinal against Alabama, and the final game against Oregon. Trey Sermon is on pace to do that. Trey Sermon ran for 300 and some change, 331 in the Big Ten championship game, 193 in the semifinal game. ... in the championship game. We will see. So far, he's averaging over 200 yards a game. In
263 yards.
263 yards.
Exact.
Yeah, to be exact.
That's all right. That ain't bad.
If he runs for 150 against Alabama, Buckeyes win. Buckeyes wins. He runs for 150 yards because the announcers they said it during the telecast, but they didn't expound on it. Ohio State is the only team entering the college football playoffs averaging over 250 yards rushing, averaging over 250 yards passing. That is the most complete, the most balanced offense in college football. Yes, Alabama, has the better running back, but they are averaging, Najee Harris.
Najee Harris.
They seem to keep Harris at running back at Alabama. I'm thinking of the one with the Patriots, But Najee is. He's going to get, he averages, what does he average, about 150, 160 yards a game. So he's going to, I'm not going to say against Ohio State, but he has this, but they're not averaging over 250 yards a game in Alabama running the ball. Najee gets his yards, and then they start slinging around, and Mac Jones is throwing for over 300 yards a game. They don't have the same balance. They are capable of having that balance, by handing the ball to him. Hence, that's why, some of the pundits have this game going to be in the 40s. Both teams could probably score in the 40s. I don't think so. I think the first team to 30 wins the game. Wins the game because Ohio State has the ability to do what Notre Dame tried to do. And I like Notre Dame's game plan against Alabama. They just didn't have the personnel to execute. They wanted to run the ball and eat clock and get off the field on defense. They wasn't able to do either. Whereas Ohio State has that. Notre Dame could run the ball, but they had no receivers outside that can get open against one-on-one. So Alabama could commit more people to stop the run. That won't happen against Ohio State. If Alabama loads the box up to stop the run, that means Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave has one-on-one coverage. They're going to beat that all day long. Not to mention, Justin Fields can run. He's an extra runner in the backfield. And so Ohio State has the ability to control, to control the game, march the ball down the field, eat 5, 6, 7 minutes off the clock, and score a touchdown. Both teams can score in short bursts. Alabama can score from anywhere on the field. So can Ohio State. Alabama can drive the ball down the field also. So can Ohio State. That's why when both teams are driving the ball and getting points, they have to churn. So what's going to, one of the major differences in the game is going to be chunk yards. Don't allow the plays of 25 and 30 yards, in a drive. Keep everything in front of you. Hence, the game will be shorter. Every possession is going to be that much more important. 3 and outs are going to be crucial. How many 3 and outs you have? Oh my God. We didn't take no time out, and we giving them the ball right back. That's on both sides of the ball. When has Alabama really been in a dogfight? The SEC championship game with Florida, who couldn't run the ball?
That was more fending them off than it was.
This just keeps going.
Yeah.
It won't be that. You got an opponent like Ohio State who's not intimidated by you, that will hit you back in the mouth. They haven't been staggered. And it reminds me almost as if this game is going to be similar to 2002 when Ohio State played Miami. It was Miami. Not much said about Ohio State. That's what we're going to hear all this week. Alabama. Similar to what Ohio State was hearing against Clemson. It wasn't a matter if Clemson was going to beat Ohio State. It was how much they were going to beat Ohio State by. That's the same question you're going to hear this week. Not that Alabama's not going to win. How much are they going to win against Ohio State? And again, Ohio State will feed off that, and we will make sure that the best team is standing when it's all said and done. I believe it's the Buckeyes. And I have the utmost respect for Alabama. I just believe we're going to win that game.
The SEC commissioner, Daryl McKinney.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
2 in 1 day?
2 in 1 day. This is just on Facebook, though. Again, by the way, we're live on Facebook. If you head to Facebook, search ESPN Dayton, you can jump in on the conversation by leaving your opinions in the comment section. We can bring him into the show or give Shay Neal a call. He's back in the studio, 457-9464, and he'll get you on the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show with Keith Byars, College Football Hall of Famer, and myself, a nobody, Justin Kinner. Again, we're live out here on Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Reaction to Ohio State's win over Clemson, setting up Ohio State, Alabama in the national championship game. Daryl McKinney says they don't need to be in the dogfight. And he says, Alabama.
Well, I hate dogfights too.
And he said, what up, Boomer? So there you go. So
I mean, I love my team being up by 3 scores. Yeah, and I'm sure the SEC commissioner. I know you had a very good regular season. You get to relax by halftime, and how much we're going to win by. I love games like that, but unfortunately, this is not going to be one of them. I would love Ohio State to be up 3 scores at halftime. I doubt that's going to happen. I would love to be wrong on that. Nevertheless, it's a 60-minute game. And get your popcorn, be ready, get all your honeydews out the way because Monday night, a week from Monday, at what time is the game? 8 o'clock, doesn't matter. Be ready. It's gonna be one, for the ages. There's gonna be a great national championship game. And I think it's one positive thing I said about college football. Usually the championship game is exciting. It's good to watch. Even last year's game when LSU blew out Clemson, going into it in early, it was like, oh, this is going to be a really good game.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence versus Joe Burrow, Clemson versus LSU.
Clemson hadn't lost.
The one thing we will not see this year, like last year we saw first ever national champion crowned in the college football playoff. We're not going to see that this year. As I mentioned earlier, the most surprising, not really surprising, but the most, I guess, eye-popping
so we've only had 4 national champions.
We've only had Alabama, Ohio State,
Clemson and LSU.
Only 4
out of 7 years.
Yep, and then Alabama's won twice, Clemson's won twice, and Ohio State looking to win twice.
We win twice.
That means 3 teams are going to have at least 2 national championships throughout this entire college football playoff run in the first 7 years. I've said it before. We'll talk about teams who have outgrown their conference. Ohio State has outgrown the conference to the point to where I think that it's created a whole separate conference in itself with Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State. Those are the premier 3 teams every year, and then it's everyone else. You're going to sprinkle your LSU in there from time to time. Wisconsin's going to drop one in there from time to time.
You got me thinking, now, how many teams have we played in the college football playoffs? 11?
Yeah, we've had Michigan
State, Oregon, Oklahoma.
Washington, right? Did Washington play in it? I think Washington played it in 1 year, but Oklahoma, they're a regular in the playoff.
That's 12 teams?
Yeah, not many. And you've said it before.
How many teams have got a chance to win it? It's not even 20 teams in all of college football to have an opportunity to win the national championship. We've had 7 years with 12 teams competing for the national championship. And we've got 100 some odd teams in Division I football.
So
unbelievable.
Yeah. Justin Kinner, College Football Hall of Famer, Keith Byars with you here on this Sunday morning. All right. I didn't wear my Browns jersey to talk Buckeyes for the full hour and a half. And I promise you, there's so much Buckeye talk coming your way this week. The Keith Byars Show, Mondays from noon to 1. You can catch that tomorrow from noon to 1. Give the College Football Hall of Famer a call yourself at 457-9464 for the Keith Byars Show from noon to 1 tomorrow. Kev Nash and I, we return to the airwaves tomorrow as well from 3 to 6 for the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash. And we have Paul Keels on tomorrow. We'll talk with Brian Billick and talk some NFL with him coming up on Tuesday. We'll talk some college football with Jason Fitz and Bobby Carpenter throughout the week. So we got a big week lined up for you here as we, again, gear up for the College Football National Championship game as well as the NFL playoffs. Will the Cleveland Browns and their 18-year NFL playoff drought? We'll find out coming up here 1 o'clock to kick off. Browns Steelers playoff game for the Browns, not so much for the Steelers, but sometimes when teams rest their players, I think it puts even more pressure on a team in the Browns who's trying to punch their ticket to the postseason for the first time in 18 years. 457-9464. Justin Kinner, Keith Byars. We will be back with you here in just a few moments.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more tax-free driving tips, visit stoptextsstopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Call It Propane has been serving the Buckeye Nation in the Miami Valley for over 65 years.
Let our family help protect your family from old man winter. Find out why 98% of our customers would recommend us to friends and family. Ask about the service options at 937-372-9194.
Family owned and operated for 3 generations, Call It Propane and Call It Seal Coating are proud to serve the Buckeye Nation.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
The law offices of Lake Maceland will fight for you. Call 444-4444. Want more fight? More attention? More compensation? We've recovered millions in auto and injury cases. We don't know what your case is worth until you call. 1-4, call 4. Lake Maceland.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely. Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know. Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you practice how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, "Good evening, officer." A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Hey everybody, it's Stephen A. Smith, and everyone knows my feelings on Cowboys fans. But really, Justin Kenner, you're a Cowboys fan and a Browns fan? Good Lord have mercy. I don't know what the hell to do with y'all. I really don't.
It's the Justin Kenner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays from 3 to 6 p.m. on 1410 ESPN Radio. College football playoffs, Browns, Bengals, Buckeyes, and more. Catch the Keith Byars Show Mondays at noon on 1410 ESPN Radio.
The Kenner College Football Hall of Famer Keith Byars with you here on this Sunday morning. We are live at Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Let me make sure equipment doesn't fall off the back here. But again, we are off. Yeah, I was going to say. We are off and rolling here. I can't believe that this is the final week of the regular season. And wouldn't you believe it, the Cleveland Browns, they need 17 full weeks to try to put an end to an 18-year or an 18-year, man, that was a hell of a segue, and I ruined it by stumbling over my words. I was all proud of that one. It's week 17 of the NFL season, and it took 17 weeks for the Browns to potentially end an 18-year playoff drought. And, of course, well, it's not just any foe standing in their way. Even a depleted roster like the Steelers have of resting players, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are what is standing between the Cleveland Browns and ending a potential 18-year playoff drought.
JV team down here.
Yes, and keep in mind the Cleveland Browns are without 12 players today, 12 inactive players, some due to COVID, others due to injuries. Tedrick Thompson, the safety, center Nick Harris. There you go. There's our excuse.
There we go.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Mr. Know-it-all is right again.
Mr. Know-it-all, the Notre Dame way right there. Blake Hance, Kendall Lamb, Alexander Hollins, Joe Jackson, defensive end, Jacob Phillips, Mac Wilson. That's a big miss right there. And again, look, the Browns defense has had its issues all season. Robert Jackson at cornerback and Sheldrick Redwine, at safety will be out for the Cleveland Browns as well. But I tell you what, all of those names, I'm not saying all those names aren't important, but those names are a lot less drastic than the names that the Cleveland Browns were missing a week ago. You had no Donovan Peoples-Jones. You had, no Jarvis Landry. You had, all your big weapons for Baker Mayfield were out. And let me ask you this, Keith. I know that it's easy to say the next man up mentality, but it was really frustrating for me this week because I know it sounds like I'm making excuses for the Cleveland Browns. But let's be clear. The Cleveland Browns their offense has been making up for a bad defense all season. Their offense is why they've been winning games. It hasn't been their defense. I know defense wins championships. That's probably why this Browns team is not winning a championship, but they are good enough offensively to make the playoffs. And the reason they've been winning games is because of that. And I know people like to do the whole next man up mentality. It doesn't matter. You should still win. It does matter. When you don't have Jarvis Landry, when you don't have half your offensive line, that's the thing too. When you don't have your whole wide receiving core, when you have your whole left side of your offensive line out. Tell me this, you as a running back, if your offensive line is out and key wide receivers are out, how does that impact how you approach a game? Because your role is going to change too, and not just, we're going to hand it to you more. It's going to change how they use you in the offense. You're going to be, running some routes probably more than usual. You were, a pass catcher as well at your position back in the day as well. So I'm just curious, is that a fair thing to put on a team like the Browns, to act like they weren't expected, to act like they were not supposed to take a step back with missing all those guys? I just couldn't believe it. I just said people were being haters last week. That's all it comes down to. It doesn't help that they played the Jets. I can't be delusional and act like, the Jets, they should have still beat a team like the Jets. But I'm sorry, Baker is a very dependent player. There's, he depends on talent around him to succeed. I was watching Colin Cowherd earlier in the week, and he said, look, you're either a tractor or you're a truck. You're either being pulled or you're pulling. Baker is he's being pulled. He's being pulled by the talent around him, but he can get the job done. But then there's other guys like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers who are the trucks, who are going to pull whoever they have with them. Baker's not that, which is fine. You could still win with the trailer, but at the same time, putting that on Baker last week, who should not have fumbled, by the way, was a little frustrating for me.
I mean, it's the next man up mentality. It's
a cute bumper sticker.
It's cute, it's sexy, but that's more so when you losing one guy and all the other whole pieces are there. Then the next man, is up. It's like if it was a baseball analogy. I'm the right fielder without a lot of range. I get hurt, but I'm starter. Now I got my backup right fielders in. Now the center fielder, you got to cover more field.
Next man up is the starters making up ground, not so much.
Yes, not the replacement. Now football. When the Eagles won the Super Bowl, they lose their starting quarterback in Carson Wentz. The next man up is Nick Foles. Okay, Nick, we got everything up. We lost our starter. You're the next man up. Just come in here and drive the train. The defense is playing lights out. We got receivers. We got running back, tight end. Now you just come in and plug and fit. Now you can. It's okay.
Yep.
You can do that. But when you're losing multiple pieces, like the year you've heard me reference it many times, 1991. Ron Cunningham is the league MVP the previous season, and we lose him the second quarter of the first game of the season. Who's the next man up? Jim McMahon. He gets hurt. Yeah. Who's the next man? We had 5 starting quarterbacks that year. Yeah, we still went 10-6. We had everything else except the quarterback. We barely missed the playoffs. Our defense was number one across the board. It was a total team. But, when you lose everybody, like 1 year with the Dolphins, we go 9-2. We beat your Cowboys on Thanksgiving Day in the snow. That's infamous, snow angel. We go 9-2. We didn't win another game that season.
Yep.
Our defense was beat up. Everybody on defense. I think the last 5 games of the season, we had maybe 2 healthy starters that started that game against Thanksgiving. Everybody, every week, boom, 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 boom. So we ended up 9-7, missing the playoff because the next man up was hurt, and he was hurt. We scoring there 30 points and still losing the game because we have no defense. We can't stop anybody. So that next man up mentality, it's sexy, it's a bumper sticker, but it's more to it than that. So we'll see.
Yep.
So now the Browns, I would love to see them make the playoffs today. The Steelers, I said, they're sending their JV team over here, but now the Browns are beat up. So it's really, JV guys and a few varsity guys will be playing. But when we look back in the history books, did you win this game or did you not win this game? Well, we don't, we don't care. Browns, you want to make the playoffs, go win the game. Go win the game. All other bets is off. We don't care that this guy was hurt. The Browns facility been closed 3 or 4 closed indefinitely. None of that even matters. It matters, but in the grand scheme of history books doesn't record that. They're only going to record, did you go out here on Sunday? Did you win or did you lose? The Bengals record, it is what it is. Yeah, we lost Joe Burrows in week 7 or whatever it was. They don't care about that anymore. This is your record.
It's 2 different teams right now, 2 different situations. One thing to keep in mind, ESPN's Jake Trotter, who covers the Cleveland Browns, says one thing to watch today, that the Pittsburgh Steelers, they are playing all of their wide receivers. The Browns secondary is all out, all decimated by injuries. A couple practice squad guys being called up. This game really, it hinges heavily on the performance of Mason Rudolph because we know what the Browns offense is capable of doing, and now it's just a matter of what can the Browns defense do. Mason Rudolph, I'm not a Mason Rudolph guy. I know Kev is a big Steelers fan. He's not a Mason Rudolph guy. He knows that when Big Ben is out, the drop off is significant. So this is less about who the Browns are playing and who's going to show up for the Browns today because they got Donovan Peoples-Jones back, they got Jarvis Landry back, they got Higgins back. So that's going to be key. And they got some of their offensive line back. If they have no excuse to lose today. You're not playing Big Ben. And I said this as well. Pittsburgh has not been an intimidating team for over a month and a half now. This is a team that started out 11-0. They lost to Washington. All right, they lost to the Bengals. They've lost to some bad football teams, and it's just one of those where they have not been playing good football even with their starters. So I didn't like the Browns fans' mentality of, oh, good, we have a shot. They're resting their starters. No, this Steelers team is not playing well to begin with, and you might have to play this same Steelers team again a week from today. If the Browns win today, depending on how all the playoff scenarios fold up, because keep in mind the Steelers are a conference champion. The Browns and Steelers, they could meet again this time at Pittsburgh next week. If I'm Cleveland, I don't want the fans saying things like that. Oh, I'm so glad that they're not playing Big Ben. Play Big Ben. Big Ben hasn't been great. The Steelers team has not been great. I know that they beat up on the Browns last time, but the Steelers are playing good football then. They're not playing good football right now. If anything, I was confident in the Browns' ability to beat the Steelers team with or without the starters resting or not. But again, this is more about Cleveland putting the loss to the Jets behind them and picking up where they left off. They were playing one of the hottest teams in football, Keith. They're one of the hottest teams in football for this past month and a half. And they have to find a way to put that Jets game behind them. How tough is that for you? Can you think of any trap games during your time playing? What's that mentality like when you lose a game that you had no business losing? How tough is practice that? Well, you won a lot of games. So
I lost to Tampa one time. I think Tampa was maybe 1-7.
It wasn't Tampa. It's Tampa.
It's Tampa, yeah.
What's that week like in practice? Does that wake you up to get your attention?
Well, no. we were upset. We had our 5th string starting quarterback. When we lost, to Tampa, that hurt. I can still remember walking to the buses out of the locker room.
Tampa.
And Jerome Brown gets on the bus, and he's like, man, one kid came up to me and said, man, you guys can't even beat us. Y'all sorry. Because we was in Tampa. Jerome was like, I wasn't talking to a little kid. But he was telling the truth. He said, I don't need you to tell you, you guys are terrible. Y'all lost Tampa. Y'all can't even beat us. So it hurts. It hurts.
There's a huge, again, 18 years. 18 years it has been since the Cleveland Browns
But
last.
I believe the Browns are going to overcome all that today.
Yeah.
I have the Browns winning the game. You know, and if the Browns, who I think they are, they're going to win the game. They're going to win the game. I think there's still enough bullets in the chamber. You know, they've been hearing, how bad we could already been in. Well, go do it. Go be a pro and go win this game against Pittsburgh. At home, the table is set. Because if they lose this game, and then, probably a lot of people already had this opinion of the Browns. If they lose, they're never going to believe the Browns are going to be in the playoffs until they're in the playoffs. No matter what the table, they could be 12-0 next year. There's still a chance we might miss the playoff until the Browns make the playoff. And that's what I always tell you. And, say in the beginning of the year, it's a 16-game season. That's the only guarantees you have is to play 16 games. Play them all hard as you can. And then after 16, let's see where we take it, where we shake out. After we play 16 games, how do we finish? Do we finish 13-3 or 3-13? Nevertheless, play your guts out for all 16 games. And if you've done that, you can handle results on the scoreboard. You can handle the standings. It's like a loss in September because it always comes back to hurt you, in December.
I brought up that Raiders loss. When the Browns lost to the Raiders, a month ago, I was like, oh, that's going to come back to haunt them. Now, again, that can be all put behind them. Take care of business today. But yes, losing today will be why you missed the playoffs potentially. But that Raiders loss, you would be more in control of your fate right now.
It's like a missed extra point in the first quarter.
Yeah. You think it's nothing at the time, but later you say, we lost by one. We hit that extra point.
It's a difference.
Absolutely. And again, right now, the division leaders, Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, and Tennessee. And then Miami, Baltimore, and Cleveland all still fighting. And then the Colts still in the hunt as well. The Colts had a prime opportunity to beat the Steelers last week, and they let that slip through their fingers. So, all right, we'll step away for a few moments. We'll give you our quick predictions for a few of the top key NFL games as the playoff picture is about to be finalized today. The Browns and the Steelers kick off 14 minutes from now. We have time to take some calls. 457-9464. We'll be back in a few moments. Give Shane Neal a call back in the studio, and we'll talk a little Browns, Bengals, whatever's on your mind as we close out the show. Don't go anywhere.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet. You wore me nearly every day before your office went, quote, casual. I used to be the CEO of your closet. Now I'm just that one intern no one ever talks to. I always thought you'd circle back with me, get granular, keep me in the pipeline. But nada, nothing. Don't you remember the McKittrick presentation? You spilled coffee on me, and I still looked amazing during the breakout talkback Q&A. So I think it's time for me to move on. I've got a great resume, and I absolutely crush it in interviews, okay? Let's make this a clean break. Shift the paradigm. The only thing I ask is that you think outside the box here and do this. Take me to Goodwill, where I can really make a difference.
Your donations to Goodwill create new jobs, training programs, and education assistance for people in your community. To find your nearest donation center, go to goodwill.org. Donate stuff, create jobs. A message from Goodwill and the Ad Council.
You're ready to get back into yoga, so you order the essentials. A non-slip mat, yoga blocks to keep balance, and an exercise ball. And you use your Bank of America Cash Rewards credit card, choosing to earn 3% cash back on online shopping and up to 5.25% as a preferred rewards member, which you put towards your most essential yoga gear. Noise-canceling headphones.
Welcome. Take a deep breath. Breathe.
Apply for yours at bankofamerica.com/more-rewarding. Copyright 2020 Bank of America Corporation.
Cordell Transportation is now hiring for brand new home daily dedicated lanes. Earn up to $1,620 per week. A $2,000 sign-on bonus, medical, dental, vision, company paid life insurance. Apply online at CordellTransportation.com.
Sales are rising quickly, but without another lead baker, Dale's Bakery is going to feel the heat.
Hey, you're baking alone today. I have to handle this order for the restaurant down the street. Cool, but who's going to handle the pastries?
He needs to hire.
I need Indeed.
Indeed, you do. The moment you sponsor a job on Indeed, you get a short list of quality candidates from our resume database. Indeed delivers 2.5 times more hires than the other branded job sites combined, according to Breezy HR 2019. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get a $75 credit for your first job post. Terms and conditions apply.
Beth just said goodbye to her polka dot heels.
Goodbye.
She sold them on Mercari to Shelley, who gladly said
Hello.
just after she said goodbye to a set of bright orange cookware.
Really, Mom? Citrus?
They sold quickly on Mercari to Dan.
Oh, these are groovy.
Then Dan sold his rollerblades on Mercari.
Bye-bye. I bike now.
Which took us back to where we started with Beth, who said,
Hello, rollerblades. Whee!
buy and sell almost anything from home with Mercari, your marketplace. Find it on the app stores or Mercari.com.
You wanted to see me?
Yes, please, have a seat. So here's the thing. When this company brought you on, we took a chance on you. You didn't have that 4-year college degree we typically look for.
Right.
But we gave you a shot anyway. And since then, you've worked incredibly hard and given it your all.
Thanks.
You've been an important asset to the team, but I don't think you can be an intern here anymore. We want to hire you.
You're serious?
Absolutely.
Find your next great employee. Introduce yourself to the grads of life. Who are they? Talent worth knowing about. Young adults of unique determination and experience. An ideal fit for your company in an entry-level position, internship, or even mentorship. They might not have every qualification you typically look for, but they're exactly who your company needs.
I won't let you down.
I know.
Don't miss out on a resource many innovative companies have already discovered. Go to gradsoflife.org to learn how to find, cultivate, and train this great pool of untapped talent. Brought to you by the Ad Council and gradsoflife.org.
Attention men under the age of 35. You know what really impresses the ladies? When a guy has a few drinks and later gets pulled over for buzz driving. That could cost you around $10,000 in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. There goes let's grab dinner and a movie. Oh, I know. You drive more carefully when you're buzzed. You've proven that hundreds of times. A woman admires that kind of confidence. And you practiced how to speak if a cop does pull you over. Slowly, clearly, and politely like, good evening, officer. A woman admires that kind of foresight. And what woman doesn't find it adorable that you call it buzzed even though the law calls it drunk? You can kiss $10,000 goodbye, along with any chance of having a girlfriend. Because nothing says I'm a catch more than a guy who lives in his parents' basement and calls it my place.
Buzzed, busted, and broke. Because buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Don't miss the Justin Kinner Show with Kev Nash, weekdays at 3 p.m. on Dayton's ESPN Radio, 1410 Wing AM.
So you want to talk about outliers? Those guys are outliers. You're lucky that this thing's separating us. That's all I got to say. For facts, though. I got your facts right here.
Listen, stream, and now watch. Search the Justin Kinner Show on Facebook to follow along. On Twitter, make sure to give us a follow. Search 1410 Kinner for Justin Kinner on Twitter. That's 1410 KINNER and ESPN Dayton for the station Twitter handle.
All right, it's week 17. It is the regular season finale of the National Football League. Every game is going to be played today, Keith, and that means, despite some bumps in the road, despite the NFL being, many people looking at the NFL and saying that they're being stubborn, that they should have, done the schedule different. Every game that was supposed to be played this year has been played and will be played. Week 17 will wrap up later on this evening, or I should say tomorrow, Monday Night Football. But after that, Keith, every game that should have been played in the regular season will have officially wrapped up. And the NFL comes out, hopefully not pumping their chest too much, because the games that actually matter are the games coming up a week from today, the playoffs. And then, of course, a lot on the line here as we finalize the playoff picture today. But what a season. And I'm glad that we are getting to the point where we're going to be crowning some official playoff teams today, the Browns potentially being one of them. Again, Kansas City, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, Tennessee, your division leaders, your wild card teams right now, Miami, Baltimore, Cleveland, the Colts right there in the hunt. A 10-win team will miss the playoffs, Keith.
No, that. I know the feeling.
Last year, had this playoff format been put in place a year ago, with Big Ben out, the Steelers were 8-8. They would have made the playoffs last year. This year, a 10-win team will miss. Cleveland Browns will clinch a wild card berth with the win today, and of course, there's some other scenarios, but I don't want those other scenarios. The scenario is beat Pittsburgh and
you're in.
Because if you lose to Pittsburgh in a backdoor way gets you into the playoff, you're taking zero momentum in. You You couldn't beat the Jets. You couldn't beat Pittsburgh. Shorthanded. There's no confidence. Beat Pittsburgh today, and a win over Pittsburgh, taking that into the playoffs. That is huge. But again, a year ago, Keith, 8-8 in the AFC. Had this playoff expansion been in a year ago, 8-8 makes the playoffs. This year, in typical Browns luck, if they don't win today, 10-10 or 10-win Browns team could potentially miss the playoffs. It's funny how that works, but that's why every game matters. You can't just assume that there is a win total that you can circle and say, "Oh, we're at 10 wins, we're good, we can take our foot off the gas." We've seen 12-win teams miss the playoffs. That's
no. 12 win, no.
It wasn't 12 at the Patriots that year won 12 games and missed the playoffs.
They were 10.
Was it 10 or 11? Either way.
Yeah.
But regardless, win. That's all you got to do.
Reminds me of one year we're playing the Dolphins in the last game of the season. It was Sunday night, and we were both in the playoffs. The only thing was, the winning team gets to host a playoff game, and the game was in Miami. And we were telling each other, I was at the Patriots. I'm like, do we want to come back down here?
No.
Next week and play them, or we want them to come up cold and play us in the cold weather in New England. We won the game on Sunday night in Miami, and then they had to come up to New England from 75 degrees to 25 degrees, and so we won the first round of the playoff game also. So that was a joy. To make happen. That was fun. It was fun.
Yeah, and I think it's key for Clemson.
That's hard playing teams back to back too. Weeks. So you're talking about the Browns may play the Steelers in the first round.
It's the same kind of scenario.
But the only difference was we both needed those wins.
Yeah.
We lose in the playoffs, but you got to come back to Miami. You got to go on the road. If you win, the seeding was on the line. So you're playing for home field. And so it was 2 dogfights, 2 good games, and we won them both and advanced to the playoffs.
Ben Roethlisberger, Marquise Pouncey, TJ Watt, Cameron Hayward, all being rested today. Joe Hayden and Eric Ebron going to be out, and Chris Boswell and Terrell Edmonds out with injury for the Steelers. So, again, right now, I tell you what, we're here live at Frickers. We do the show here every Sunday morning, again, on 741 by the Dayton Ball, but it's a Browns bar today. Browns fans everywhere. You could feel the excitement.
What's the Browns chant? Let's go Browns. Just dog pound woof.
They do the woof.
Okay, let's go Browns.
Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.
Okay.
Woof woof. We don't have our Steve from Springboro here.
Yes.
Shout outs to him, by the way, because he had disappeared for a while. We hadn't heard from him. Everyone's like, oh, the Browns lost. We don't hear from him. He called in the next day. Shout out, prayers to him.
So y'all gonna put some respect on my name.
He's been battling the COVID.
Oh, really?
He is, but shout out to him. He retired on the 1st of January. He is officially retired, and how he likes to brag. He's very proud being a working man. He's very proud working man, but he's retiring and calling it a career. But shout out to him.
Yeah, shout out to our colleague also, Mark Schlimmer.
Yep.
Mark's going to have a transplant surgery this week, so our prayers and thoughts are with you, and glad you're here listening to us this morning, Mark. So we love you, and we wish you a successful surgery and a speedy recovery.
We got a hot mic waiting for him too.
Yes, we do.
Because I tell you, he has plenty to say about the Buckeyes and the Browns and the Bengals and everything.
The Reds, everybody.
The Reds, absolutely. So we're looking forward to catching up with Mark here in the near future. Now, Mark Schlemmer. So here's the deal. Last thing before we go, the Ravens are a 13.5-point favorite over the Bengals. Bengals 4-10. They get that big win over the Steelers last week. They're playing some good football. Any win's a good win. I'm not here to poo-poo on any of their success down the stretch, but I think that these wins have been big losses for the team because it's convinced the front office that Zach Taylor's their coach. Zach Taylor will remain their coach according to some reports out there moving forward, that he has been instructed that he has to shake up his coaching staff.
Don't tell me that.
Look right
Don't
there.
tell
I
me
wish I
that.
could
Did I hear something different in my ear?
Unfortunately, no. So we'll, I'm sure that's something you'll go more into on your show tomorrow because we're out of time today. How about the reports of Urban Meyer potentially being the next head coach of the Jaguars?
Don't believe the hype.
Urban, okay, if he turns that job down, the next report that came out said that they're going to go hot and heavy after Ryan Day, dangling the idea that everyone assumes that the Jaguars are going to take Trevor Lawrence. If they really want Ryan Day, they would go to Ryan Day and say, hey, we will draft Justin Fields #1 overall if you take this job. I'm telling you, I've told you before.
Yeah,
and then Urban Meyer, the next head coach of the Buckeyes, will be Urban Meyer. Ryan Day goes to Jacksonville with Justin Fields.
Right.
Urban Meyer just takes
two young guys going to grow together over the years.
Why not? And they have $70 million in cap space. Tony Khan is a very good owner who's willing to give a lot of the power to the head coach, and sometimes that works though. Sometimes it doesn't. Look at the the Texans, by the way. So all I'm saying is I've been predicting, and I don't think it's this soon. I would be very shocked if Ryan Day leaves the Buckeyes this soon. But the Jaguars, there's more leverage for him to leave the Buckeyes now than any. If the Jaguars go to him, Keith, and say, you have the number 1 overall pick, everyone assumes we're taking Trevor Lawrence. But if you want Ryan Day that bad, we'll take Justin Fields, number 1 overall. We'll bring you in. You have $70 million in cap space. We'll load you up with the roster. Boom. I mean, I'm just saying it's a long shot, but then Urban Meyer, the next head coach of the Buckeyes. That's my hot take for the day.
I like that.
It's not terrible.
Urban said, "I'm back, baby."
Yeah. and it's a good move for Urban because Urban doesn't have to be faced with the backlash of, he bleeds scarlet and gray. It would be tough to see him coach any other program out there. So this would just make sense. I'm just saying.
This is my quick hot take.
All right.
We're talking things that possibly happen. Ohio State plays Alabama in the regular season in 2027, if I'm mistaken.
Yep.
Nick Saban, will he be there in the horseshoe?
He might have to now. Their guy in
I doubt he'll be there.
Sarkisian went to Texas.
I don't think he would be there, and I don't think Urban Meyer would be there in 2027. So I think we'll both have 2 new head coaches at that time.
Or it could be Urban Meyer versus
I think
Swinney.
if Ryan Day would be there. But if you're saying he's gone already to Jackson. But if Ryan Day if he's still Ohio State coach, he'll be there, but not Nick Saban in 2027.
Yeah.
He will not be the head coach at Alabama.
How about Texas?
And the next head coach at Alabama, he is
Dabo Swinney. Yep. So it could be Ryan Day versus Dabo again down the road, or Urban versus Dabo, or
the offensive coordinator that missed the game for Clemson. I heard he's going to be the new offense coordinator at Alabama.
I mean,
and now he may have the inside track.
Now, keep in mind this. Here's the dominoes that are going to fall. You're right. Him going to Alabama, Tom Herman will take his spot at Clemson as offensive coordinator at Clemson.
Not Columbus.
No. But that would add to the rivalry of Ohio State Clemson. You get Tom Herman back over at Clemson. I'm just saying.
There we go.
I love college football. I love the NFL.
It's rigged, but we love it.
Yes. It's a necessary evil. Folks, this has been fun. Ohio State back in the national championship.
Where we belong. That's where we live.
Ohio State, Alabama, man. It's no bigger than that. But the Browns, the Steelers, it's a playoff game for the Browns. They win. They are in, and that 18-year drought comes to an end. Keith Byars Show from noon to 1. Make sure you tune in and hang out with him tomorrow. You can give him a call at 457-9464. You also have our show after. We're going to have Paul Keels and a bunch of Buckeye guests throughout the week. So we're excited about that. And Brian Billick is going to join his former Ravens Super Bowl winning head coach now with the NFL Network. He's going to be calling into the show on Tuesday. We're going to be chatting with him about the AFC North and the NFL playoffs, and hopefully about the Browns in the playoffs. I'm excited to chat with him later on this week as well. Bobby Carpenter and more. Folks, have a great week until next Sunday, I should say. This has been the Sunday Morning Tailgate Show live from Frickers on 741 by the Dayton Mall. Take care.
Excuse me. I know you have a 9 o'clock, so I'll keep this short. I'm the business suit in the back of your closet.